Pierre, big sigh. Welcome to Tasty Humans. Thank you so much for doing this.
Morning. I'm Big Simon Martin, CEO and founder of the Food Heroes, alongside the main man.
Please introduce yourself as well.
I'm Pierre Koffmann, ex-chef, and selling potatoes at the moment.
I love the way you say that, because something tells me it's slightly bigger than that. You know what I mean?
He slightly underplays it,
Yeah.
which actually keeps us human and keeps us out of trouble, really, which is quite fun.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did want to start on, which we touched upon outside, is that I grew up in the area that your business is based in, which is Pinchbeck, Spalding, Lincolnshire, which I think was just so fascinating to me, because I haven't been there since 1995, but we know a lot of the same places.
Yeah, Lincolnshire is massive for me and the family. So obviously my sister Claire married Pierre, and that's how sort of it all began, over a potato harvester. But more so, if you go back in time, my father, we had a wholesale market fruit and veg business in Coventry, that's where we're from. Mm-hmm. But his business partners were from the other side of Boston. So all my life we've been coming up to Lincolnshire, because it is the capital of, in my opinion, fresh produce.
Yes.
So we've always had this massive association, and I thought, sod this, I'm not going to do wholesale markets anymore, because it's getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning without a guaranteed customer. And then I was offered a job in Bicker near Boston, and selling vegetables, and been there ever since and love the place.
Fantastic. So how did you meet Claire?
I don't really remember. He knows better than me, because as I say, we met on a potato field. I don't find that very romantic, but he said that. He said, I do not remember. But I knew Claire well before that, because she was working in potatoes too for another company. And so I had the occasion to serve time to time, And I think that was the first time I met her. But that's it, It was many years ago now, 25 years ago, something like that. So, it was not a bad meeting.
Fantastic. Led to some really cool things, I take it.
Yeah.
So, again, as we spoke outside, I know that you're very well known, your career's very well known and everything. So I wanted to start with Food Heroes and just simply ask a simple question, which is, how did all this begin?
The idea is mainly him and his sister, the idea. I was just the guy with a name and a good-looking guy. But the idea is more Simon and Claire. Yeah.
And it's been born from way back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. We worked together in a wholesale market. I sold it. She did the invoicing. Because our father at that time had a stroke, retired. So we were running the business together along with our mum. And we loved it. And then we both went separate ways. We worked for rival companies. Mm-hmm. So for nearly 20 years, I was working for one potato company. She was working for another potato company. And then, to be fair, when Pierre came on the scene, which is another funny story from my side, because obviously I was like, who's this bloke? And then obviously serving retailers wasn't really into restaurants. I was, who's the French bloke? Mm-hmm. So then all of a sudden I started to realise, shit, he's really powerful. And then it was just, we've always had beliefs about serving product for taste. And both of us had worked for different retail supplying companies that was supplying product for price. Does it look good on the shelf? And does it yield well on the field? And we were like, really? Is it surely we want them to come back and have a great experience and have a great tasting product? That's what the brand's about.
So where did you get the name from? Because to call something Heroes, you're kind of sort of putting yourself out there.
We started first with Koffmann.
Yeah, because Koffmann.
And after he was fed up with Koffmann, so he put the Food Hero. But the beginning was Koffmann.
I didn't want him to get too cocky.
And that was the opening of the success of the business, because in London, Koffmann is quite well known. So I opened all the door like Gordon Ramsay, all the big name about the potatoes, Koffmann potatoes, because they were top quality. Mm-hmm. Not only for the name, I hope, but for the quality of the potato, because we make sure when we send those potatoes, they are in top quality. They are the top one you can buy on a market. After it's up to them to look after the quality of the potato. But that was the idea at the beginning, to make sure we got a blue bag and the red bag. So the blue bag was for frying, the red bag was for mashing. And we guarantee that was 100% successful. That's where it started.
So why change the name?
He was jealous of Koffmann.
Because I think
You still have it there, but you know, it disappeared little
I'm
by
not allowed
little.
to talk about Marco and stuff. It's all about the big guy, isn't it? But no, it was more about we took the business back in house when lockdown came. Everybody was in a mess. Everybody was like, "Well, what do we do?" At that time, we were the brand name, we were the marketing side of it, but we let another business actually sell the product for us. So when lockdown came, it was unsustainable for both, and we had to make a stand for ourselves. And I said to, and it was do or die. There was no doubt about it. It was in the front room of my house. Rachel was doing the invoicing, I was doing the selling, and literally, we had to buy packaging quietly. We didn't want the other people to know about it because they would have tried to stop us doing it. So we said no, and the next day we started on our own. And it was literally, I mean, it was seat of pants job. And then literally a year later, we're turning over 10 million. I mean, it was the most enjoyable year of my life. Scrapping every day, you know. You had, and my wife, and she didn't know how to do. God bless her, she's the glue of the business, you know. And we're the show ponies. I suppose I'm the loud front, but you know, and Claire is the knowledge, and that's why the four of us. They should be here. Without the other two girls, we'd be absolutely nothing. And then what's been beautiful after that is bringing in really good friends to add to the Food Hero. So I wanted to move it away from just Pierre because I could see a vision of the Food Hero should be the grower that we're dealing with. The Food Hero is the chef we're serving. Pierre happens to be one of the brands and the dad of the business. But I was being nice to you. Jesus. But
I'm going to struggle to get through this.
I'm the granddad now. Actually, I've jumped ahead of you. But that was it. I wanted us to shout about real food and real heroes, and you know. So obviously Pierre trained Tom Kitchen, so we've done a brand for Tom. You know, we've obviously done a brand with Marco, but then we've got some fantastic growers and producers. They're our heroes. So I just didn't want us to be a one-trick pony. And very much to because I just wanted to challenge the industry when everything is about commerciality. We get that. We have to be competitive. But I want good on the plate because some examples I could give you of people screwing our product on a weekly basis disgust me. People say, why potato sales down? Well, because you're putting big potatoes onto a salad potato. You know, there's so many things that people are doing and cheating consumers for price. We won't do that. So there's a bigger story.
I think
here.
I've got about 20 questions.
I know.
For everything you've just said. But I want to come back to one quick thing with you, Pierre, which was it? Now, chefs have a way, how can I say this, of being, I don't want to use the term egotistical because I think ego is a good thing. I do, like if used correctly. And I also know that too, because I come from a big hospitality background, to stand in a kitchen and direct service and just be a normal chef is hard enough. To actually be the chef with the name above the door and the food and the this and the that and everything else, to maintain that and be, like I say, driving the service on a busy shift is extremely challenging. And that's where ego comes into it. And I do think chefs need one because there's so much riding on it. But was it easy for you to agree to take the name off of the product? Because there's a lot of chefs that put their names to products, especially in the last maybe 10, 15 years, that, you know, are using it as a vehicle.
The name of the product is more Simon who decided to do that, you know, because for me, I was very happy to do the quality, to do those type of, that French fry, in fact, he was, you know. So I'm very happy. I'm just a chef, you know. So cooking is my forte. The rest business is one who does everything about the business. So for me, I find it quite easy to do those potatoes. I didn't put too much about it, except to do the final product, to put it to sell it to the customer, you know. But I didn't find it any.
You didn't have any moments where you were like,
No.
but I'm Pierre Koffmann, that's my brand.
Oh God, no, he's the
you
opposite.
know.
Oh no,
No,
on,
no, not
on
at
quality, yes.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That we're going to get into.
Oh, that's
that
that
we're going to get
when
into.
I get the look of death. Yeah,
No,
trust me.
on
But-
quality, of course, because I've been always working on quality. I was a chef. I was born to be a chef, I suppose, because I only had one restaurant, old-style French system where you buy. You go to a restaurant because you love to cook. I never had the idea to start a business because there is a lot of beautiful chefs, very good chefs in England. They start very well, fantastic. They got their Michelin star. They are happy. Suddenly they want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 restaurants. They are businessmen. They are never in their kitchen.
Yeah.
On my side, I was there. I always open the restaurant. I always close the restaurant, and I was the old style French chef, But the quality is the most important thing, Everything goes, even if it's a French fry. If it goes, you got to go to the customer to perfection. Sometimes I was checking, at Koffmann. I was checking everything, of course, but the guy who was on the French fry, as an example, because we talk about French fry, they were not 100% good. I said, now you take the potato and you go and see the customer, because it's easy when you are at the back, you don't really care. Some chef. They take those potatoes and take them to the customer. You see what the reaction will be. You got the ball to do it. You got to have the ball to do it. If you because to do properly or badly takes exactly the same time. At least if you do it properly, you are proud of doing that.
He is a reluctant hero.
No, I think that what you
very
said is
much so.
Yeah.
As far as the visuals, as far as the story when you would take my face off the back. No way. That would never happen.
I put the face on. In fact, it's my drawing. But
yes, the original.
Yeah. No, I was not. I found it a bit stupid, funny, maybe stupid. That's it. But he was so happy. I let him do it anyway. He does anything he wants to. So he was happy.
Do you think that you came from a golden era of culinary where there was the chef and there was because you keep saying take it to the customer, where there's the chef, the restaurant, and the customer, and then in between that there's some food critics, there's word of mouth, and that was it. Now there's and this is not a question to you, but there's kind of like a question which is like, do chefs create content or do they create dishes? Because everything now is I cook something, now I post it, and I filter it, it goes on social media. And
when I started, it was no mobile phone. Now, everybody go to a restaurant, they go with a mobile phone. Before you eat, they take picture, blah, blah, blah. After they complain the food is cold, can be. And so it was a different time. I was lucky to be born.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you said, you were lucky. You were lucky to be born at a time where...
completely different. We had few food critic, but food critic, I never follow the food critic. I think they are a bit stupid, those guys, because they can do nothing else. They become food critics. There's not a lot of very good food critics. If you ask me in London how many food critics there is, I know one who can cook. And I'm very happy with this one, but that will be the only one. All the rest, they want to create noise. They cannot every time say, "Oh, it's fantastic, fantastic." They got to create noise. It's like Michelin, the same system.
Do you think they're a necessary evil? It's like I love movies. It's like movie critics. It's like you don't make movies, you don't star in them, but you're giving an opinion, and
they do a job, I suppose. So some people like to read their comment on. On a newspaper at weekend. They do the job, but I'm not interested by that, so...
And my last question
The problem, they can be very nasty, those guys, because they can make a restaurant open, they want to be the first one at the restaurant there, So they don't... The first week, bam, they go there, they make a critique. If they give a bad critique, it's not... it'd be very hard for the restaurant to survive after, So...
Well, I think that any consumer that reads one person's report on something, like food, media, something like this, and then decides to not go and experience themselves is I can't swear, but I don't think they're a worthwhile long-term customer
they
anyway.
shouldn't
It's
go.
like,
They shouldn't
go
be
there
allowed.
yourself, make your own mind up. Do you know what I
They
mean?
shouldn't allowed to go to critique to visit a restaurant before 2 or 3 months, something like that. Not the first week. It's completely stupid.
It's gone bonkers now.
Yeah.
Socials.
Yeah, it's the mobile phone would change everything. I think. Yeah.
Definitely. I wanted to sort of circle back to one thing you said about that COVID period being the most enjoyable part of your life. And so pre-COVID, were you personally in like a comfortable position?
I was doing so. At that time, I'd worked for so many other businesses. I'd had one of my other businesses which I'd sold, and I was actually doing a bit of consulting. I was probably a bit lost. And
but were you like financially, waking up to, because COVID had a way of, especially in hospitality, I think it took a mirror and it showed it to everybody's face. And it made a lot of people.
I would say comfortable.
Go back to basics.
We were thin.
Yeah.
And it refocused in so many different ways. I mean, we didn't pay ourselves for 6 months. I mean, it got to a stage where we were waiting to be paid because we'd invested 20, 30,000 in packaging, designs, and we'd thrown absolutely everything at it. But you know what? God, I loved it.
But you were back in the trenches almost.
Yeah,
right?
but it was cleansing. It was because for so many different things, you spent 20, 30 years in a trade where, in my opinion, and then I'd been really clear about it. I resigned from a position as a sales director, and our trade was changing, where you're a salesman, you're a front man, where you have to take your clients out, you have to entertain them, you have to get the 50-50. The world was changing, and the company used that information against me to get rid of me, because I wanted to leave. And how dare you leave? And so my ego was bruised. I was kind of dealing with retailers, and I just kind of hated the process of that. So it was a great cleansing thing for me. It was just like, do you know what? That world isn't you. You were going out every night. You were, with bars and clubs and playing a game to get the 50-50. It's like, and it was great. It was cleansing. And I'm going back into a trade that I first started with on the market pitch. We were serving chefs. I wasn't a chefy at all. I barely knew who Pierre was. Now, this is going right back when Claire first met. I knew who headlined, but then but Claire, my sister, was, in many ways, the brains. She was the real potato guru in the family. We've all gone on that journey with her. She hasn't got the confidence to come in front of a camera, but as far as the idea of it, it's my sister that's done all this. And she'd done this before with other brands 20 years before, but didn't really get listened to. So, and it's funny, since launching this, the imitations that we've had, people copying what we've done, people trying to put us to bed, to be fair. And we're a small family. We're not a small family business now. It's grown dramatically, but everything we've done has been for the right reason, ethically. We're not cocky. We believe in what we do, but we're really about doing the right thing. And it's amazing now, the other side of, I think it's cleansed us. We enjoy what we do. We spend time together. We enjoy each other's company. But our competitors, you start to see there's a lot of dirty tricks out there of what people are trying to do to kick us.
Business, yes.
But there's a way of doing business, I believe. I mean, but what I will say is there was a bigger turning point for us, probably about 4 years ago, and it was the French fry. That was the turning point.
I was going to ask, you said in a year you went from front room to 10 million.
Yeah, and that was big old-fashioned 20, 25 kilo bags, shiv on your shoulder on the back. Because I started off as a barrow boy. So I used to, I loved that sort of authenticity, the old days. But then, if you think about COVID and lockdown, what happened after that, you're not going to get a chef or a commie shop someone to peel a bag of spuds, lose 30% of it, and pay them X amount per hour.
COVID had a really, really negative effect on the hospitality trade in the UK. Here in Dubai, I think that, and a lot of people attest to this, is that they seem to manage it very, very well. I do think it's because Dubai is very, very small compared to London. Dubai is a quarter of the size, you know, compared to England, Dubai is tiny. So it's very easy, and we're all on visas and everything like that. So it's easy for them to literally tell us what to do, where they said, right, no one goes out, you have to wear gloves, you have to get a permit, you have to do all these things. There's other people in the room that will agree with this, you know what I mean? We remember what it was like, and it was very, very well handled, and within 1 month, we were kind of up and running again. Social distancing, you can go out, you know, this and everything else. However, I'm watching Sky News every day and talking to friends back in the UK, and you guys were locked down for 6-8 months. Was that right?
Yeah.
Something like this. And the hospitality landscape was destroyed.
It's gone.
Destroyed.
Yeah, because chefs realize, some chefs, you know, quite a lot of chefs, in fact, realize, you know, they went to work for Amazon or Ocado or all those things, the delivery, and they can get more money, maybe most of the time, and better hours. That's it. That's why a lot of chefs disappear from cooking. They went into anything else, you know, any other job they could find, you know. Plus after that, Brexit was terrible too, because we cannot, in England, you cannot employ any more people from Europe, you know, from EU. So that's a big problem.
Yeah, Brexit is another...
Yeah. I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a bad thing for
kind of got lost in translation, and then it's emerged out the aftermath, didn't it, I think?
Well, it had a very negative effect on farming, didn't it? Like, I do remember, you know, being here, I don't know how many years ago it was, but there was a huge protest. A load of farmers drove their tractors right into Westminster and everything like that.
I think on farming is the same rubbish in France or in Europe. The farmers are not very happy at all, you know.
But why are they being shafted so much?
I don't know.
God, I think you need about 5 different podcasts to go through this. And I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the authority on that. I mean, we farm, we rent land, we work with great farmers, you know, so, and we've got some very close mates with farmers. I don't think our government's helping at all. It's been going on. It's been one thing after another for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, there had to be the increases for them to... The cost of increase, I think if I go back 10 years ago, I think it was about 1,000 an acre. I mean, in fact, Ed that's with us was a farming operative for 15 years, but I think it was something like £1,000 an acre to grow an acre of potatoes up to about 3.5, 4 grand. I mean...
And who are you paying that money to? Is that land rent or registry?
Well, it'd be rent, it'd be fertiliser, it'd be seed, it'd
machinery.
Be machinery, everything. And then the tractor went from something like 50 grand to 100 grand. I mean, and then you've got to bear in mind that your money is tied up for nearly a year and a half. So if you're planting, then you've got the stuff that's in the store that's probably been in store for it could go up to 6, 7, 8, 9 months. So your cash, you've got no cash. It's... And therefore, then you've got there was so many middlemen in the marketplace, too many, I believed. And you've got the supermarkets that I think have found a race to the bottom, literally kicked everybody to the bottom as well as could be expected. And there was no money in there for reinvestment. There was no money in there for anything that could go wrong. And Christ, it does. You know, because they've had floods, we've had bad harvests. I don't think we've had a good harvest in 3 years. So... they've had everything at them.
And what do you think is causing the harvest issues?
What do you mean it's trying to climate?
Well, yeah, and it's not about, look, I'm not trying to get into a conversation about
don't
climate.
do that with me.
No, God, no. No, but it's just more like farming relies so much on the weather. Do you know what I mean? And, of course, I lived in Pinchbeck and Lincolnshire for 6 years and everything, and it is one of those industries where, because it's all based on the weather and outdoors, then... obviously, the weather patterns do affect it. So it's not about saying, you know, is anything, you know, climate change, but it's just like, how has that impacted and how do you get around it? I think is a better question.
I mean, the risk is all with the farmer, completely. Because the supermarkets have got them so wrapped up in contracts, and the same with food service. You know, there's always, you will supply this amount of tonnage at this price. Doesn't matter what happens. Then you get to a stage where, and I hate the word force majeure, but there's been so many situations where it's been flooded, it's been wiped out. I mean, there was acres 2 seasons ago where you could go above. I remember being offered to go on a helicopter with a friend of mine to go as a special favour, and all I did was see the country and water and how much acreage had gone through the floods. And they was saying you will supply or you will pay. And the gun to the head world of food is ridiculous. I can understand why they're doing different things. You know, I mean, my sister was married to a farmer 25, 30 years ago, and I told him to get out of that farming 25 years ago. So it's a tough gig. So what we've tried to do is that's why we also call ourselves the Food Heroes. And we have to elevate our farmer, our grower, to be heard, and also that they can invest. So what we've tried to do is add more value. It doesn't mean we're more expensive. We just, I believe our process is second to none. But also we try to give that farm, no one in our industry, it's in the sector we supply, can give them guaranteed prices. We can.
So talk me through your process then. Because you say your process, you're very proud of it, you know.
Yeah, because no one in our sector will, from the farm up, it's a trade. It's a complete trade. So most of our people who serve our sector will have a fixed price with the big bid food or the breaks or the big sort of powerhouses. But all the independents is trading week to one, week to two. You don't know, you could be £5 1 week or £10 a bag the next week. What we've done is we could do seasonal prices. So we go open book. So our grower knows what we as a business are working for. So we like to share that with them. They know the cost of transport. They know the cost of packaging. So therefore then it means that we can, both ends, the customer has the consistency. The chef can know that French fry, what that cost me for 12 months, what that potato cost me for 12 months. Our competitors don't do that so much. The customers, the big boys will try and tie them into those deals. But then there's the Wheel of Fortune and the gambling unbelief that we will not gamble. Right? We can't gamble on our name. So it has to, and also quality, specification, everything we do. You know, we have to use the best. All the accreditations that we have in place. It's a must for us. You know, our reputation is second to none.
So how much volume are you shifting? You know, like, who are you supplying? Like, what are your levels of supply? Because I think that myself as one of them, you know, the average consumer doesn't really understand what it takes to feed, you know, hundreds of thousands of millions of people en masse. We just blindly go into the supermarket and we go, oh, a bag of potatoes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if I average it now, and obviously it's plateaued now because of the rise of frozen. You know, because of COVID and everything else we've spoken about, we would sell probably about 1,500, 2,000 tons of fresh potatoes a week in bags, boxes, or bulkers as an average. 2,000 frozen. We will be selling. Come middle of next year, we'll be selling 50 trucks of chips a week around the world. That probably tells you where the growth is.
More and more people
That's
buy.
a lot, man.
We advise the restaurant more and more to go for frozen, because frozen is the same quality from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, you know. Where fresh, you got a problem in end of June, July, where that the whole season and is getting done. And so we wait for the new season. So we are always advised at that period to go for frozen. And when they touch the frozen, most of the time they don't go back to fresh.
What are the things that we don't know as consumers about sort of the industry and mass producing of food? Because we all, again, look into our mobile phones and we see organic and fresh and don't do frozen and it's got pesticides this and preservatives that. Like, what are some of what are some of the essentials that need to happen? Here's a much better way to put it. What's the furthest destination that you actually send to from where you actually produce? You know,
Malaysia, obviously all over the Middle East. We're hoping to go to Australia very, very soon. Hong Kong, Singapore. Yeah, I mean, we're moving quite a lot.
Greece, and so what do we not
South
know
Korea,
about that life cycle of being able to guarantee the quality at the
Well,
other
that's
side?
easy because that's frozen. I was actually going to go back at you a different way with an answer. And my big bugbear is supermarkets.
Okay.
I think they misinform consumers because they don't tell you the true. You think of Christmas, my biggest bugbear, you probably haven't seen it, every bit of fruit and veg is 5p a bag or 10p a bag, or you might as well just give it away. So the consumers are buying 2-3 times as much wastage, throwing it away, then you've got all the packaging. They have no idea what the reality of cost of our food is. You don't see them giving meat away. You don't see them giving all the other groceries away. It's always fresh produce. How does the consumer know what a bag of carrots really costs? So they think it's only cost 5p. The farmers on their big tractors and the Range Rovers, okay, he wants a nice vehicle. Get over it. But there's a misrepresentation of farming, and supermarkets do not help.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, supermarkets are under the knife at the moment because of basically, how many items on the shelves are actually good for you, how many are not. Like you said, how they're pricing things, how they're giving things away. I mean, what do you think are ways that they can do better for you guys?
Believe it or not.
Or how do you actually do? What are you doing to hold them more accountable? To be fair,
we vowed that we'd never supply supermarkets. That wasn't a slight on them. And like I said, my position on this is a UK farmer. There's some great retailers out there. Don't get me wrong. And so, but my point is this: I wanted to deal with people where you could have a bit of a ruck. And your mates the next day, and I felt that the super, and having done 25 years of supermarkets where it was all, and it got to an end, it was a relationship-less business. It was completely about a spreadsheet. It got to a stage where there was absolutely no fun in supply, and the risk and everything else, and kind of needed to be re-engaged with food again. So that's why going to the back of a chef and taking a box of spuds, and what do you think about that? And having an argument with the wholesaler over about 5p, that's fun. Because it was, it's a lot more fun.
Well, that's very market stall, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was exactly bartering.
But the beautiful thing is, we on our supply chain, we want everybody to win. I want our wholesaler to make money out of us. But I want our wholesaler to be realistic so the chef could thrive. Otherwise, what's the point? I feel the rest of the trade is all about, it is the wrong kind of winning. Because it's great to win, but then next week, your wholesaler's gone bankrupt. So there's a lot of food of thought that people don't think about. For me, you have to think about. Getting back to the point, is that we got so many inquiries because we were really lucky with, when we first started, Gordon Ramsay, because obviously good friend of Pierre's and trained by Pierre, insisted on having our fries all around the world. So that's where all the Indonesian were like, yeah, they did. And like I said, I'll come back to it. Our partners who worked with us on the frozen chip, that was the turning point of the brand. I must recognise our Belgian partners, because Agristo have been amazing to us. Because there is two parts of the business. There is the UK grown, and then there is the international. And how we came about with the chip. So remind me to tell you about that, because that's a long story. But so I know I'm weaving and winding here.
That's what this podcast is all about.
So we took the decision. We were getting so many people saying, "Well, I had your chips in the Ivy, I had the chips in Ramsay's, or in Formula One or whatever," and they said, "Where you can buy it?" We thought, "Well, we don't supply anybody." So I thought, and then there was a lovely lady that used to work for a friend that went to Ocado. And I thought, if there's any retailer that fits us, nice top-end brand for a top-end. So we launched with Ocado, and we've been going for over a year, and it's absolutely thriving.
With frozen only?
Yeah, only with the frozen. They've asked, funny enough, that we are launching fresh, I think, in a month. And then the inquiries have gone on since then. So I think we've launched with a European wholesaler now. We're launching with a couple of 3 other retailers this year. So that growth of the side of the business is coming because, in my opinion, because of the restaurants trade being so tough, the consumers want now, they're going out less. There's no doubt they are, because money's tight. So what I think is happening is that the supermarkets want the restaurant experience at home.
Which is killing restaurants.
Yeah, that's not what's killing restaurants.
Well,
it's not the supermarket that's killing restaurants.
It's not about that. What I mean by that is that it's. I think that just steers in. It's just sort of triggered a headspace I have where it's about how everyone's being pushed to stay more and more at home. You know, cinemas are going and everyone's streaming. Everyone's cooking at home and you're not going out. Everyone's going out, but then, like you've said earlier on, taking pictures of everything. And it's like, I do worry sometimes that we all come from an age and an era of going out. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah, but I don't
things
think
that
it stopped people going out to restaurants. People use those delivery service to eat at home because they are too lazy to cook at home. You know, they don't have the time, one or the other. One or the other.
The
But
issue is
they
price
still
of plate.
enjoy.
Yeah,
There is some
definitely.
restaurant in London who are packed, always full. Yeah.
No,
But you're right.
I'm
There
not
are people-
suggesting that you're killing the restaurant chain. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I'm saying that. I'm just saying that I really think that over the coming years and decades, I hope that more and more of the younger generation start to appreciate going out, putting their phones down, enjoying each other's company. One thing I often rant about on here, I did it with a couple of chefs, is about QR codes on restaurant tables, which is like, stop pushing everyone to look at their phones and get back to having a dining experience.
But then going back to the other point for me is that why should we expect a plate of food for the old Toby Carver at £5.99? You know, who's going to produce product for that?
Yeah.
You know, so there is a
There is a between into the.
there's a massive
there is
between,
a little bit.
but there's no doubt the cost of a plate of food has gone up dramatically.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So the point I was getting to is that's the retailers are now thriving on that. So that's why I think we've been approached quite heavily because of the reputation of our brands, and that's why the Food Heroes works. So we've obviously got the big guy here, and then we've got our little naughty protagonist Marco, you know, as well. Which, as you've met him, but he's a food hero. He's part of the family, and obviously worked with Pierre, and he's been friends for life, and he's very important to us as well, and especially when you're looking to hit a different marketplace.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Pierre, which is, you know, you both are very different people. Do you know what I mean? From your upbringings, you know, we've got the
It's
proper
English and French, yes.
English and French, which is tough
We
enough.
don't we don't talk about rugby.
Yeah.
Do not talk about rugby. Fallout zone.
But how did you find coming out of your world and moving into this world where you're passionate, obviously incredibly passionate
It was
about?
quite easy for me. First, mainly I'm pushed by my wife, and he's doing all the donkey work. I go take you to him because he does all the only thing I had to do, you know, when I meet donkey work.
Is that any compliment?
He's a compliment. He's a compliment because it's not easy to do the donkey work. Well, myself, I just had to do the French fry. You know, it was a pleasure for me to do. You know, it's my job. You know, so.
But how have you two bonded? You know, like I look at because obviously I met you, you know, an hour ago. I look at you both, and I think you both have this desire about the end user. Do you know what I mean?
we are
And-
so different.
Yeah. But how does
I'm
it
loud
work
and
like?
proud, and Pierre's very quiet. But when he speaks, you listen, and that's the one thing I've learned. But no,
Yeah, I couldn't do what he's doing because it's not my forte. I'm a chef, you know. I got my idea, and you know, to be a chef is like to be in the army. You know, you got the general. I was a general in my kitchen, but not outside the kitchen. I'm not. So that's the way. That's why he works. You know, he does a job. He does a brilliant job, and I know at the end sometime, but not always.
No, but also he underplays.
That's the way he works. You know. So,
But also, it's family. You can't beat the. You know,
How is it working with family?
it's amazing. Oh no, but it is. I mean, because I spent 20 years of my life on the road, I didn't see my family. You know, I didn't see my kids growing up, and you know, because of the pressure of that previous role I told you about. So, you know, to work with my wife, who is the glue, and my sister, and my brother-in-law, and my youngest son is coming to the business now. My oldest son hopefully will. You know, we are very much a legacy business. It's brilliant. Yeah, you're gonna have a row. Yes, you're gonna have a dinner table a bit frosty occasionally, but the polar opposite is horrible. You know, you're in hotel rooms for 20 years. You're sort of going out, you end up going to nightclubs. You're going here. You're entertaining. I don't want that. I want to be with my family. I want to see them nurture. you know, to watch my wife, who's also quite understated now, come on buying trips and sort of see how she's progressed, stand up in front of people. I'm so proud of that.
It's very hard to balance the two, you know, your business and your family, especially as a chef like me. I was going to the market at 4 o'clock in the morning and all those things. So I haven't seen, especially with the oldest daughter, you know, I was a bit missing in thing, you know, so that was very hard, you know. Yeah.
But also having a great team around us. That to me, that's really exciting.
To be doing what you're doing, yeah, I mean, and the volume that you're shifting, you must have amazing people.
And I think also I'm so excited by the future and coming over here.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
But, you know, I think we're at a real junction. You know, we've got a couple of, taken on Sheila, who you know, and obviously we've got a young team. We've got Amy, we've just taken on Saudi, and then we've got sort of Drew and sort of Laura, sort of new on top of an already great team.
How's the response been here? Because Dubai loves a brand. It loves a name. It loves to be able. I see a little wry smile there. It likes to be able to. People will probably put it in the menu. Do you know what I mean? Like sausage and mash. And then that will go all over social media.
Yeah.
You know,
in London, it works quite well, you know, Koffmann French fry, you know.
Yeah, people will put us on the menu everywhere.
Yeah.
Over here, we've been over here now, I think, for about 3 years, I think. It's our 4th trip. Being brutal, I think we've danced with it.
Okay.
I think it's gone well. I don't think we've scratched the surface. And I think this trip for me is about creating a team. God, because we're going to hit it differently now.
How are you going to hit it differently?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, fine.
No, I am. You're going to meet him soon. You're going to meet him soon.
I nearly said something really sarcastic.
No, bugger off. I'm sorry. No, sorry. I'm being cheeky. We've danced with it. You can't serve Dubai from England.
No,
you can't rant on people on the phone. So we've got to create with a team around Sheila to create a team, but also bringing the new brand in is important because there's different tiers on the marketplace. And I didn't realise you go to a hotel here, there's 20 restaurants.
Yes,
you go to England, there's one. So within that one hotel, I've got 2 brands that serve that whole restaurant. So where at the moment I'm going, and I'm only serving a small percentage of it. So now we've got something to bite at. So the Marco Retro range, which we're launching in the next, we've soft launched it, but we'll launch in the next 2 months. That is going to hit. So watch out.
Amazing.
I'm really excited by that.
Can I ask you, Pierre, what are some of your favourite restaurants here in Dubai? I always love this question to chefs.
That was nice the other night.
Pardon?
Sheila took smoking.
Yeah.
Say again.
Smoky Motor.
Yeah,
really
that was the best one
that.
up to now. Yeah, very nice.
Why do I know that name? Is that the Marriott?
Yeah.
On the Palm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, that was my number one.
That's an amazing build. So I'm now talking to you and when I have a camera on you. Hello.
We've been so lucky that knowing chefs over here. So I think on Sunday we're meeting from the Fairmont, Darren from the Fairmont, who's been a friend of ours for a long time. So every time we come over, it's lovely people take her out. Sheila's got a lot to be blamed for because she knows everywhere. So it's great, and it's not really on a diet, but the food over here is fantastic. It really is.
Do you know what? People like to have a pop at Dubai. Do you know what I mean? And they do. But one thing that's always been true here, the food is of a very high standard. What I will say is service can be very questionable in a lot of places, you know, and I have lots of conversations with people about that. But the standard of food is extreme. I think it's higher than people give it credit for. I think they just see Dubai as this big, shiny, plastic sort of diamond where you land here and buy a Ferrari and drive around. But the food is...
the diversity of it.
Yeah.
The quality of that diversity.
I think 13,000 restaurants in this incredibly small...
You'd like to come back to taste.
Well, yeah, but on top of it, going to the Good Food Awards the other night, and to meet so many different kinds of types of food. And I love that because living in Lincolnshire, Spalding, darling, you'll know we haven't got much as a pizza and a kebab shop, and that's about it. And I think the Toby Carvery from down the road is gone. So yeah, come on, it's a bit different to what you and I know.
Do you know the thing is that the best way to describe Lincolnshire or Spalding, right, was I'm from London, okay, and I moved there when I was 13 years old, and I went to school, and the first week of school, some kid comes up to me and he says, "You're from London?" And I went, "Yeah." And he said, "I know someone from London." I can't remember what the name he gave, but let's say Steve. He said, "I know someone from London. His name's Steve. Do you know him?" I looked at this kid. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know how big he is?
Yeah.
Right? But then, funnily enough, if I was in London and I met someone like we probably know similar people. Do you know what I mean? And and so it's a highlight to that very, very small community that you do know everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. You do know everybody, but growing up in that little environment, I have some of the fondest memories there because you did. Yeah. There was a handful of pubs and a kebab shop, but everyone's congregating in the same place. But then as you kind of sprawl out, do you know what I mean? And like I say, from people that born and bred Lincolnshire in that area to come out to Dubai, I mean, myself included, it's like, it's just this... It was an amazing little hub, and it's such a little special place. It is. But once you get out of it, you start to see the world. I
can't wait to get home.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
So I'm going to go to London, and Pierre was just thinking about family and friends and the fish conversation about smelling like fish after 3 days. I look forward to getting on that GNR train out to London. I love the craziness of Dubai. I love Dubai. It's brilliant. But after a week, I want home. You know, I want to walk the dogs and go for an hour's walk and not see anybody. You know, I love that, and I'm so blessed to have that scope to be able to do that. You know, walking around crops and walking, and the nature.
It is the one thing that we don't have here. We have lots of amazing skyscrapers, buildings, parks, everything like that. We don't have forests, lakes, fields, pathways.
I'm the opposite. I much prefer London than the countryside.
He won't leave.
Claire, she wants to move to the countryside.
Whereabouts in London do you live?
Little Venice. Next to the cricket ground?
Yeah, Lord's Cricket Ground, Little Venice.
Maida Vale.
Yeah.
That's an awesome
awesome part.
Yeah, it's quite nice. Yes, but I wouldn't go outside London. It's boring.
Oh, you are so grumpy. He does.
Yeah, for the weekend.
That's so London. That's such a London
2-3
thing.
days, yes, you'll be fine. But what do you do outside London? It's nothing to do.
You love it when you
go for a walk. I can walk in London.
No, don't be on your mobile phone while you do that though.
So you start to see it's starting to come out now. You start to see the other side of it.
No.
But no, so
I think that's awesome because I do get of course I spent 20 years in London. Do you know what I mean? So because I used to go from London back to Lincolnshire, I used to like going back, and then I used to like going back, where you kind of appreciate the scope, the size, the buzz. Do you know what I mean?
The excitement. I've got a night in London.
It changed a lot, London, because I've been there for 50 years, so it changed a lot. It was fantastic at the beginning. Now it's very busy and it's crowded, and people are a bit more aggressive than they used. They used to be nice 50 years ago in general, the English. Now everybody is...
English. Yeah. London's so cosmopolitan.
Yeah, there's not a lot of English left.
There's not a lot of English there. Yeah.
That's why it's
nice. It's been nice 25, 30 years
So
ago,
you've got to forget all the bad side, and that's it.
But then the other thing is, we do like travelling, and we're lucky like these trips, and we've done some others as well. But then it's a bit of rugby, watching rugby, and then we're happy then.
We're not getting into the rugby conversation. It's not going to happen. That'll be afterwards. You know what I mean? I wanted to ask, because you mentioned the word legacy, where you said that it's a legacy business, and I did want to ask you, Pierre, how do you view legacy? Because you have, in my opinion, you kind of have maybe 3 different versions. You have the culinary, the restaurants, the Michelin stars. You have the people that have worked under you, which is literally a who's who. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It is like and then of course you have this, which is a very different. So it's like. Is there one that you look back on more fondly, or are you going to sort of leave the earth thinking, wow, I really did a lot?
When I had the restaurant, I really enjoy it. It was my passion. I was passionate about the restaurant, so that's maybe the number one. Number 2, the legacy, the chef who came, because most of the chefs started at Claire in 1977. Yes. Yeah, and London was poor. Food was rubbish in London. At that time, you should remember. Maybe you are too young to remember that.
I was 1.
No, it was the food. You were still on a hotel.
Yeah, I was 1.
But the food was terrible. It was
Well, we don't have. Listen, one thing I
It
will
was-
will
it
give,
was
give the
nothing, it
French.
was
We
not-
don't. We don't have cuisine.
No,
Do
no.
we?
And so for all those
roast
guys,
dinner. You know what
all
I mean?
those guys, if they want the guy with a bit of ambition, they wanted to be a good chef. They don't have a lot of choice. You know, they had the Gavroche was good at the moment. Nicolas Denis, myself, and I don't know which one or two maybe. That's it, you know. So you got people ambitious like Gordon or Marco Pierre White or Jason Aceton and all those guys, you know. They had to go to all those few restaurants to progress, to learn, you know. So, and I'm still in touch with quite a few, in fact, you know. And even at the time, I was very hard. You know, I was not Mr. Nice at the restaurant.
I actually did. That just sorry that because that just
You were
popped,
scared
that
to-
just
you were
popped
scared
into
to
my
ask,
head
yeah.
where it was, if I remember right, that the sort of chain is Marco influenced Gordon a lot, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, and obviously you influenced the pair of them. You know, and Gordon has a small reputation for saying exactly how he feels on camera with all the colourful language with it. Were you like that? Did they learn that from you, or did they go and do that? Like, or is that something that you think evolved, or like you said, you just said you were just tough.
I was tough at work. You know, at work. You know, it was my way or no way.
But were you as colourful with your delivery? Because also you did mention earlier on, like get onto the subject of the quality of the potatoes, and I feel that
he would never use
the
bad
old
language.
exec chef comes
No,
out.
you know when you've been told, but he would. I've never heard him swear. I don't think I haven't.
No, like I said before, you know, it's like the army. You got. I was a general there, and they had to do what I wanted, you know. And as long as they do what I want, I was a nice guy, you know. But during work, for me, the customer is the most important person. Some people don't say that. It doesn't matter. But for me, because it's a customer who pay for the bill.
Well, if the customer doesn't come back, everyone's out of a job.
We don't have a job. You've got nothing. So I make sure the guy respects the customer. You know, like I said, the story about the French rabbi. He was with as a dish too. If it's not properly there, I say get the ball, go and take it to the customer. You see. So that's very important to respect the customer. And of course, I was hard. I know I was hard, you know. But when job is finished, service was finished, you used to go to eat Chinese at 12 o'clock in what you call it, in Chinatown, you know, all together. So, but during the work, it was no music, no clock. We are lucky we never had a probe. When in the 70s, 80s, probe didn't exist. You were cooking with your finger, you know. You have to touch to check if the steak was cooked. You touch it. You don't take a probe to check it. You know, so it was a different way. And all those guys, all the fish, all the meat came on the bone. So we had to do it to clean it ourselves. Now, most of the time, you know, the portion size. You know, so
They've got it easy.
But it was part of how you learn your job. Yeah.
But also, if you look at how all the chefs feel about him.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
What they learnt. And it's a different era. So you hear so many times about, you go back in time. A different era, you can't judge it. And I know you weren't meaning that.
I'm saying that it's people that work in the restaurant trade and in the hospitality trade. Like, I would sit and argue for hours and hours and hours, and I will do it, that in the kitchen is the hardest thing, without a doubt, you know. And I was in there once for 2 weeks because I had to do it as part of senior management training to work in a restaurant company. And it was a mitigated disaster. And I was like a service bartender that could do hundreds of drinks by himself, hour after hour after hour. But to stand on the inside line, call out the food, and then be able to time it correctly in a business, it's a real skill, and you have to be tough. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, this is the thing. And I'm glad you said what you said about going to eat Chinese afterwards. I think a lot of people see the shouty chef, you know, and they think, I couldn't work for an arsehole like that, or like this. But then what they don't see is they don't see after service, where the kitchen teams sit together, The head chef is in there. There's no distance between them. There's no, there's no. I'm in my office with the door shut and stuff like that, which a lot of other department heads actually do that. And the chef sits there, you know, and it's an incredible team ethic. It really, really is. So yeah. So look, I wish I booked another hour, to be honest with you, but
We're done.
we're done. Can you believe
Quick.
it?
Thank you.
But as I say with everything in Tasty Humans, which is, you know, out of both of your journeys, collectively, individually, if you could summarize anything into one sentence for people to listen to, maybe take a bit of inspiration from, or whatever, or to not do, do you know what I mean? What would that be?
I have 3 words: family, food, love.
Enjoy what you are doing. Enjoy your job, you know. If you are working as a chef or any job, in fact, you know, your job should be your passion, you know, and it's much more easier. Yeah, you got to enjoy it, what you're doing. Now you see the guy in London, chef work only 40 hours a week, you know. They put new rules. You saw it at the end on the bill because you need 2 teams. You know? So you pay for 2 teams, the customer pay for 2 teams. Yeah. But I say in my time, I don't really like to say in my time because it shows my age. But in my time, you know, we never look at that. That was part of the job. You want to be a chef, you got to do those hours. That's it. It was no choice. Or even a waiter was the same. If you want to work in restaurant, you work on Saturday and Sunday because mainly Sunday was a big day in France. You know, so where people will go to. So now it's completely different. Maybe for the best. I don't know.
No,
I do not regret my time. So.
Hospitality, 6 days a week, 12, 13 hours a day.
Yeah, when you see a customer coming back, that's a real pleasure, you know. Yeah.
Well, I hope it. I hope
you make people happy. It's
come.
fantastic. It's a beautiful job to make people happy.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Pierre Koffmann, Big Sigh, thank you so much for coming in. Please enjoy the rest of your day. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great to meet you both. And yeah, all right, excellent.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed that. Thank you.